Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 14th of June. So as we're edging closer to the summer period here, usually we have lighter volume, lower liquidity, lower volatility in the markets traditionally through the summer months, and over the past few weeks we've certainly seen quite a fair amount of that sort of creep into a number of different sort of asset classes. Even the jobless numbers that and the job rates that the markets were eagerly waiting for last week really failed to get those markets moving. So this week we've got the US interest rate decision on Wednesday, so maybe that might liven things up a little bit. There is, I suppose, one of the biggest concerns creeping in at the moment, which is inflation and potential rising inflation, and whether this inflation is going to be transitionary or not. So let's take a look at a few markets here that we're keeping an eye on and some potential markets to keep an eye on this week. So we've come over to the US index markets first of all. Now most of these index markets, particularly the US and the DAX, they're at or very near all-time highs at the moment. You can have a see here on the Dow. This is the Dow future. On the weekly perspective, these markets still looking very strong. Trends looking very much intact, not too overextended at this moment in time. Now the Dow is not at all-time highs at the moment. If you come down to the sort of mid-time frames, you can see that this has been sort of meandering around here for quite some time, needing some sort of good news, some sort of reason here to really help the Dows to push on to and break through these this resistance up to all-time highs. So the Dow at the moment, not the sort of easiest of market conditions. If we come over to the NASDAQ first of all, the NASDAQ again probably looking the most bullish out of all of the three US index markets. So the NASDAQ, taking a look at this on the daily, you can see that the market is very, very close to this 14,000 level. It's made a fantastic recovery after the recent sort of sell-offs. Each time it's had a sell-off, it's had a higher low. 14,000 is a big number. It's been tested here 3 times. It's found resistance here 3 times. So I would be wary of this range up here, and certainly looking at longer opportunities if the market gets above that level. But again, just to expect to have some sort of resistance as the market sort of comes into that price point. I think out of the 3 index markets, the Dow, the S&Ps and the NASDAQ, the S&Ps are looking probably the strongest. If we have a look at this on the daily, you can see that the S&Ps has been pushing up to all-time highs, so this has been the leader out of the 3 at the moment, and market is now, price is just above those sort of all-time highs. If you come down to the sort of lower time frames, you can start to see that even we have got some sort of trend forming here, even though it be a rather sort of rocky trend, and we have got sort of convergence to the long side at the moment. So pullbacks into value areas are sort of areas where traders will be looking for acquiring positions. So out of the 3, the NASDAQ, the S&Ps looking probably one of the sort of cleaner markets out of the 3, but all 3 do look sort of poised for stronger price action in the sort of near term. Now very much this is going to be news driven and data driven, so it's a good idea to sort of keep an eye on what is going on in the sort of fundamental space. Now we come over to the precious metal markets. These have been suffering somewhat as the US dollar has been strengthening. We've had a strong rise in US dollar rates last week. That's put pressure on precious metals, which are priced in US dollars, so making these commodities more expensive. I think the key level here on silver is to keep an eye on that 28,000 level. You can see the market's right through this 28,000 level at the moment. We've got this sort of consolidation going, and if you started to draw any kind of sort of technical analysis in here with sort of sloping trend lines down here, and from the highs, also from the lows, you could see that we've got sort of triangular formations compressing into 28,000. So clearly one or two things is going to happen. This market's likely to break out one way or the other. Now the rise of the dollar, as long as that US dollar is going to continue to strengthen, precious metals are going to find it hard to to strengthen as well. So it could be that these markets sort of drift into this sort of consolidation, building up pressure for a period of time, and when we see a bit of weakness in that US dollar, this may well give this the catalyst to break out. From a breakout perspective, by the way, I'm preferring these to the long side. You can see that on the weekly chart, the silver COMEX silver market here looking particularly interesting around that sort of $28 price point. So coming over to the currency markets, now a lot of the currency markets again have been rather sideways in price action. One that is starting to look a little bit more interesting is the dollar against the CAD. Now the dollar, as I said, has been strengthening. It's seen significant strength last week. Now that strength in the dollar has helped the dollar CAD to break out and turn trend. So you've seen here on the daily time frame, we've had this sideways consolidation here for some period of time. Even though the market has been consolidating sideways, we've had pressure building in the momentum indicators here, and now we've got a break to the long side. So we've got the sort of indications here of a turnaround in sort of trend, at least for the near term. So if we start to come down to the sort of 4-hour time frame, you can see the sort of structure levels around here where the market has found key resistance before. The market's now above that, and we've now got higher highs, higher lows forming, again with the strength in momentum. So some sort of pullback into value areas, pullbacks into these sort of levels could present sort of opportunities. We could start to get a bit of a move here as a bit of a near-term retracement on these markets. Now, even if you start to look at retracement areas back into sort of 122.5, back into this support area, still gives plenty of distance to the long side. I think if this market does continue to strengthen, if we see that dollar continue to strengthen further, then we could even see moves possibly potentially up to 124, and that's some pretty huge distance to the long side. So there's certainly some potential here from a long perspective on dollar CAD, and again, this is a dollar strength play, so it would require that US dollar to remain strong over that period of time. So there's a few markets here that we're keeping a close eye on moving into the beginning of this week. I certainly hope it helps, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.